Hey, Del Shakes fam! Welcome back to another episode of Text Exchange Tuesday. I'm Cassie, and I'm so pleased to be here and to start us off this week by throwing a little Shakespeare at Saliym. So the monologue I've chosen today is from my favorite play, As You Like It, and it just might be my favorite piece of text in all of Shakespeare's canon. That is a really difficult thing to say. There are lots of good lines, but these are some of my very favorites. This is the first moment that we meet the character Duke Senior. And Duke Senior is the rightful ruler of the kingdom, and he has been deposed by his younger brother, kicked out of the court, and now he's living in exile in the forest of Arden. And rather than spending his time plotting revenge and raising an army, he has managed to find some peace and some joy in this isolation, to appreciate the authenticity of living in the woods rather than in the very strict confines of society, and to really revel in this green space. And these lines have spoken to me so deeply this past year. Life has been so much more isolated, and I know I'm spending more time in green spaces than I generally do. And what I particularly love about this piece is that the joy that Duke Senior finds is not based on his choice to neglect what is difficult in the world. And he is certainly acknowledging what is bleak and painful and challenging, but he's also choosing to celebrate what is good, what is green. And my experience of this monologue is always an invitation to take a deep breath and feel my feet on the ground and to look around me for what is good. So, As You Like It, Act 2, Scene 1. Now, my co-mates and brothers in exile, hath not old custom made this life more sweet than that of painted pomp? Are not these woods more free from peril than the envious court? Here we feel not the penalty of Adam, the season's difference, as the icy fang and churlish chiding of the winter's wind, which, when it bites and blows upon my body, even till I shrink with cold, I smile and say, this is no flattery. These are counselors that feelingly persuade me what I am. Sweet are the uses of adversity, which, like the toad, ugly and venomous, wears yet a precious jewel in his head. And this, our life, exempt from public haunt, finds tongues in trees, books in the running brooks, sermons in stones, and good in everything. So, with a deep breath, over to you, Saliym.
So Cassie, I just want to say that I love your passage, not only as a Taurus or someone who loves to earth, as in like take my shoes off and walk in the park, but someone who appreciates and understands peace, but also positioning, and also the importance of stillness and placidity, and how we are able to unwrap and understand what's going on internally, and where we stand in our own lives. So I think that is a very, very powerful passage that you shared. So thank you for that. And my favorite passage that I am going to share is kind of in that vein of nature, but not necessarily the traditional way. It reevaluates the nature of children, their level of intelligence, and how they can outsmart their elders and nature itself. And it's a famous tall tale. It's called The Champion Liar, and it is from one of my childhood books that my mother gave me, African American Read Aloud Stories. And it's so funny because I opened it and I saw like the date that I got it, 5/1/1994, and I was like, wow, I was very young during that time. But this story itself is called The Champion Liar. Let's get into it. There was once a man who could tell more lies than anyone else. One day he went out with his cow to tell lies. He said that if anyone could tell more lies than he could, he would give him his cow. Well, he went from neighbor to neighbor, but nobody could beat him lying. Late that night, he came to a little hut, and inside, he found a small boy. "Could I have a light for my pipe?" he asked the boy. The boy began to shake the fire up and down, until the man got tired of waiting. "Little boy, what are you doing with that fire?" he asked. "I'm dividing today's fire from yesterday's and yesterday's from the day before yesterday's to give to you." "Never mind," said the man. "Could I have some water?" "All right," said the boy. He began to shake the water up and down, until the man got tired of waiting. "Little boy, what are you doing with that fire?" he asked. "I'm dividing today's water from yesterday's and yesterday's from the day before yesterday's so as to give you fresh water." "Little boy," said the man, "have you a mother?" "Yes, sir," said the boy. "Where is she?" "She's gone to the king's palace to sew it up with her needle and thread where it got torn last night." "What?" exclaimed the man. "And where's your father?" "He's gone to the river to get some water to throw on the land with a flower pot with a hole in it to make a garden." "Is that so?" said the man. "Little boy, did you hear that a child was born last night with 7 arms, 7 legs, and 7 necks?" "Sir, I can't be sure, but this morning, when I went to the spring for water, I found a dress with 7 sleeves and 7 collars, and I think it might have belonged to that baby." "Is that so?" said the man. "Little boy, did you hear that a donkey took a journey into the sky last night?" "Sir, I can't be sure, but when I went to the spring last week, I heard a clap of thunder, and when I looked up, I saw a pack of saddle falling down from the sky, and I think it must have belonged to that donkey." "Little boy, did you hear that last week the river caught fire?" "Sure, I can't be sure, but last week when we went fishing, we caught a lot of fish burnt on one side and raw on the other. I think they must have been cooked when the river caught fire." "My dear child, take my cow. You are the smartest little fellow I ever saw." On his way home, the man met Mr. Wolf. "Why do you look so sad?" Mr. Wolf asked him. "I thought I was the biggest liar in the world, so I said I would give my cow to anyone who could beat me lying. Then I met an innocent little child who told bigger lies than me, so I had to give him the cow. I don't know what to do to get the cow back from him." "I'll go back with you," said the wolf. "I have 7 bags here full of lies. If I open but one of my bags, the whole town will be covered with lies." "All right," said the man. "Let's go." When the little boy saw them coming towards his house, he knew they were going to try to take his cow. Before they got any closer, he called out, "How come you're only bringing one of the wolves you promised my father?" "Well, I guess we'll have to do. Bring him in and we'll cook him up." "What?" cried Mr. Wolf. "Is that why you brought me here?" And Mr. Wolf ran for home as fast as his legs would carry him. "Sir, why are you still standing there?" asked the little boy. "If you wait, Mr. Wolf will steal the road and put it in his pocket, and then how will you get home?" "What?" said the man, and he started running after Mr. Wolf to catch him before he stole the road and put it in his pocket. The little boy never saw either of them again. He went inside happy because he had his cow and because he was the smartest little boy in the world. And I say all of that to say, number 1, never underestimate a child. Number 2, never underestimate the nature of someone who wants something really deeply, whether it be the peace of nature like Duke Sr. or the peace of having a cow all to your own like the little boy in that tall tale. So, until next time, folks, peace and light always.